Hi everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp and to a series we did right back at the start of the channel, and I know lots of other people do them now, but it is 10 games under 10 quid. Yeah, 10 quid, nothing else.
Absolutely. So these games are at that price owing to being on sale at the moment, and there are some good games here, aren't there?
Yeah, for sure. Really good discounts, very highly rated games by us and in general as well. And we're going to tell you a bit about them. If you want to save yourself some money on any of these as well, use code SwitchUp over at switchup.gg where you'll get 5% off instantly and 5% back in our SwitchUp coins.
Nice one. So which games have we picked? Well, let's find out.
Let's start off then with a very, very well-loved game, and it's the sequel to another well-loved game. It's SteamWorld Dig 2. Now, I know you played a lot of this one.
Yeah, I've played more of the first one. I completed that on the 3DS, I believe it is, and that's also on the Switch, and that's also on sale. And these are very good games, actually. So the SteamWorld series has kind of evolved since, hasn't it? But these dig games are Metroidvanias, which rely on you obviously digging down into the ground, finding upgrades, finding scrap, making yourself more powerful, going up to the surface, rinse, repeat. But they're done in a very good way. You know, they're very solid games in terms of the way they're crafted and their level layout.
Yeah, are these influenced by old classics like Dig Dug and all of that stuff?
I'm not sure if they're influenced, but you can certainly see the some of those elements in there in terms of how the levels are constructed. But obviously they're much more fleshed out than those sort of games were.
That one is currently on sale for £3.74. That's a 75% discount, and that goes on until August the 29th.
Next then we have a very different game called Root Film. Now this is a visual novel that I've played and very much enjoyed actually, and it's based around the premise of a young director who's looking to get his big break, and he agrees to take on a TV series that has been long since cancelled, and the reasons for the cancellation were never really made clear. There's kind of a mystery surrounding it. There's a belief that the main actress was murdered, and that's why the show was cancelled. And then he takes it on, this kind of reboot of the series, and people start dying again. Very good game if you like your visual novels. Really did enjoy this one, and it's currently on quite the big sale actually at 75% off, which makes it just £8.74.
And that one goes on until August the 13th. Next up, we've got Little Dragon's Cafe, which is currently 85% off, down to just over £6, £6.74. And this is a mixture of different genres, really. You've got the Simlife elements of managing your own cafe, but you've also got a pet dragon that you gradually have to raise, haven't you?
Yeah, I think the story revolves around the mother of the children being unwell, and they have to raise this dragon to try and make her better. I can't remember why now. There is a reason. But as you say, you have the idea of having to keep the cafe working. You have to hire staff, or they'll join you as the story progresses, but you also have to go out into the world and gather the resources to make better dishes to sell at your cafe.
The only issue, I think, with the Switch, and we say it every time just because we want you to be aware, is that there are very long load times, the transition between your cafe and the exterior.
There are, that's true. It's got a lovely art style though.
I think it's great.
Yeah, it has like a pencil sketched style, but yeah, you're absolutely right, those load times are a bit of a pain.
If you're a physical collector, be wary as well, because I bought the physical for my daughter and she opened it up and the look of disgust on her face when it was an empty box.
Yes, it's one of those that's been blighted by the code in a box scheme. It does have a proper physical as well.
Oh, does it?
Because I own it, but I think it's one that's kind of been phased out because it's been out for a while now, you know?
Oh, might need to get that. Yeah, as I said at the start there, that's 85% off until August the 29th. Then we have what was reviewed by Dave Morrish on the channel of Save Decks Gaming, a game called Rogue Heroes.
Yeah, this is a adventure game. It comes from Team 17, I seem to remember. Has a classic kind of Zelda look to it, top-down adventure with some roguelike elements thrown in there, but it plays incredibly well and it has 4-player co-op too.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that actually. After playing Ember Knights the other day and just being thoroughly addicted and getting the kids along for a few rounds and playing, it does make a difference in those games, you know, because they can be a bit frustrating when you're solo and you're dying a lot. When you get your pals with you, it's like, I don't know, it's just a different experience.
Yeah, I think so. And not just that, I think this game utilises those extra players for some of its puzzles as well, so it's not just about having a bit of backup.
Yeah.
You know? Really good game this actually, scored very well on the channel. It was certainly mid to high 80s, I seem to remember, and this one is currently available for just £3.99, which is 75% off.
Then a game that everyone knows, well, everyone that knows it, is Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, which has a massive 85% discount, which is pretty crazy, really. Now, if you're after one of the best first-person shooters that has a storyline that's also just as good, then I do highly recommend this series. Unfortunately, the Switch doesn't have the first game on it, if I'm correct in saying that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which is really weird.
It is weird. I haven't played this one. I played the first one.
Yeah.
And I've played old school Wolfenstein. I actually played that on the Atari Jaguar.
Nice.
Around my cousin's house many moons ago. But yeah, from the first one at least, this new kind of reboot series is fantastic.
It is really good. It carries on the story of BJ Blazkowicz. If you played the first one, you should really play this because it's actually a very clever story. It will feature him in a hospital bed. I won't ruin it, but there's like flashbacks and stuff going on.
Yeah.
And some of the villains are really grotesque. Like you really do want to end them. It's crazy. But yeah, very good mechanics as well. Very chunky weapons, good sound effects. It runs well on Switch. I highly recommend it for that price. It's crazy. That's 85% off, down to about £5 or $6 until August the 17th.
Lovely job.
I think I see someone. Her name is Anya. She takes good care of me.
It's 1960. The USA, they surrendered 12 years ago when Nazi atom bombed their country.
On a train to Berlin.
Next, we have a change of pace with Owlboy, which is a 2D platformer which has a really lovely 16-bit, almost 32-bit art style. It has a heavy emphasis on platforming using the owl flight ability, but you'll also be recruiting your friends as gunners, and there are some dungeons that obviously you need to overcome along the way.
Now, we mentioned this recently when we reviewed a game called, or semi-reviewed a game called Tiny Thor, and the art style is just so nice. It works so well. Has lovely controls as well. One of those that feels whimsical but also very challenging, and from what I understand, it took the development team 10 years to make this, and it's nice when that actually pays off. I think the game is very well loved, and at the moment, as we say, it's only on sale in the US regions. It's 60% off, down to $9.99 until August the 11th.
Next we have Layers of Fear 2, but before we talk about this one, I will mention that a few similar games from Bloober Team are on sale. You have the first one of this series and also their Blair Witch game, so there's a few to choose from if you like your horror. But Layers of Fear 2 is a game that takes the premise from that original game, that kind of horror walking simulator, and expands upon it, and this time you are on an ocean liner. The story is quite obscure, you'll kind of be drip fed it as you go along. What this one did, which was a bit interesting I suppose, for want of a better word, was it included an element where you are chased by something, which the first game didn't have at all. But they clearly knew that it was a risk to have it in this game because you can play without it completely. You can select whether to have those moments in, which was quite an interesting way of dealing with something. What this one does have though, which just makes it fantastic, is Tony Todd's voice. Now Tony Todd, famous for his role as Candyman, as well as many other films that he's been in, he just has that presence when he speaks as he narrates the story that just it crawls up your spine as you're listening to him, but it captivates you at the same time. And yeah, it's worth playing just for that.
They're not the longest games, they're about 5 or 6 hours long, and 85% off, down to just over £4. This one is on sale until August the 31st. Then we have Quake, which had, I believe this might be Night Dive Studios on the Nintendo Switch, and they did a brilliant job bringing it across, even including some content that I hadn't played before. That was known as the Dark Fantasy Campaign. You get the base game as well as all the expansions that were released. It runs at a fluid 60 FPS, you've got everything you'd expect. There's a horde mode that they added in there. There is online and local multiplayer and co-op modes as well. It's basically as good as it gets in terms of bringing an old classic across to the Switch. It's 67% off, so it's just what, £2.63. It's an absolute bargain. Sorry, Glen. And that one's on sale until August the 16th.
Next then we have Observer, which is another walking simulator, I guess is the best phrase for it, with a lot of puzzle elements to it too. Again, has a horror vibe, but also mixes that with cyberpunk.
I absolutely loved the inclusion of Rutger Hauer here. Sometimes when they put, you know, famous faces into games, it can feel a bit shoehorned, but he worked perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact he was in Blade Runner, I think, helped, didn't it? You almost felt at home in this world before you even started. So this is you solve crimes, that's right, isn't it? I've not played as much as this one as you.
Yeah, you're all within it. Basically the whole thing's set within an apartment block, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. There's also this ability where you can tap into deceased victims to find out what happened to them.
Right.
There's a bit of puzzling and searching. You've got scan mode so that you can look in an environment and look for clues and things. It's quite dark. It looks really nice. I really enjoyed it. There was a moment in the game that I wasn't too fussed about, where they did the whole chase thing,
right,
you know, and it just seemed out of the blue and pointless. But in general, the only thing I'd wish for really is a more varied location. It was both a help and a hindrance to confine it within that tower block.
This is Bloober Team 2, isn't it?
It may well be.
It's interesting that that also had a more actiony part in that didn't seem to work as well, isn't it? I think they maybe step out of their comfort zone on those parts and they don't quite pay off.
Yeah, it's like they're thinking, oh, we need to put in one more gameplay mechanic, you know, to make a complete package, but it doesn't work that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, this is one I own on the PS4 physically, actually. I don't think it got a physical release on the Switch, hence the reason I bought it there, and I do want to play this one soon, yeah.
That one's 80% off, £5.39 until August 31st. Which takes us on to the very last game then in our 10 under 10, and it's Ancestors Legacy, which is 80% off, and it was one that you reviewed, Glenn, and I like the look of it because it's one of the few real-time strategies we've got on Switch.
Yeah, absolutely right. You have 4 different factions to choose from, and each one obviously tells their own part of the story. Plays very well. It's definitely got that old school RTS vibe to it. It's kind of almost a perfect home for it is on the Switch because you can take it away with you and play a little bit. The portable nature of it works very well, and this one at the minute is selling for just £6.39, which is a bit of a bargain actually, to be fair. And this one does have a physical, and it's one that seems to, when you find it, it's pretty cheap, but you don't find it often, so it might be one to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, so there we go. That's it. 10 games that are currently on sale, and most of them for at least a week or so. Let us know in the comments if you've picked up anything super cheap this week. And apologies for an extra sales video. I know some of you are desperately trying to chip away at your backlogs, but it is what it is, I'm afraid. Thanks to all of you that enjoy the content. Make sure you use code SwitchUp over at switchup.gg to get your eShop credit and save a bit of money, and we get a little kickback. And that's it.
Lovely. A quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support.
And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!